All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Debbie, and I'm from the Healthcare and Science Career Community here at DePaul. And I am sitting down today with Sadie Freedman from CancerIQ. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little more about your job and CancerIQ?
Sure. So, hi everyone. As Debbie mentioned, I'm Sadie Freedman. I am currently the product manager at CancerIQ. I oversee the products at CancerIQ, take in feedback, work with the development team to implement that feedback from our customers, as well as look into new product ideas and how we can expand and improve our current products. And then a little bit about Cancer IQ is we are a digital health company that provides risk assessment software for providers to help assess their patient population's risk for certain hereditary cancers, so cancers that run in the family. Be able to navigate those patients to the appropriate resources if they might be at an increased risk, order that genetic testing they might need, and then follow them and manage them over time with the goal to try to predict, prevent, and potentially preempt cancer altogether for those cancers that do run in the family and make those resources a little bit more widely available than they currently are today.
That's awesome. So, can you tell us, as a product manager, what you're doing maybe on a daily or weekly basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I work very closely with all the different teams within Cancer IQ, just to make sure I'm aware, from the sales side, what maybe prospective customers are looking for or questions that they might have to make the product sell better or to incorporate those feature sets, as well as work very closely with our customer success team. Those are the people that are directly interfacing and supporting our customers that use our software every day. So making sure that their workflows are supported, any concerns or issues that need to be addressed within the software can be addressed quickly. And then I also work very, very closely with the development team who are actually coding the software, writing requirements, making those wireframes, those pictures of some of the suggestions, and making sure kind of everything gets implemented. And then finally, once those features and everything gets implemented, working with marketing and addressing how do we convey these changes to our customers so they know what's happening and what to look for, and help with those training materials and things like that.
That's really cool. And I know you're a growing company. How many people currently work at CancerIQ?
That is a great question.
Approximately.
Yeah, I think we're around 20 right now,
Oh,
and we are
okay.
expanding, actually hiring people as we speak.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I know that I saw through your LinkedIn, you have a science background. I wonder
Yes.
if you can tell us a little bit about kind of your journey through science, maybe what you majored in, and how you got this job.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am pretty unique in the sense that I've always been pretty laser focused about what I wanted to do as a career. And this really clicked for me my senior year in high school when I took AP biology and realized my teacher helped me realize my interests aligned very closely with genetic counseling. So actually going into college, I tried to do everything to optimize my chances to go to grad school for genetic counseling. But I've always been very interested in biology and felt like I could understand it, which was exciting for me. I went to U of I for undergrad and majored in molecular and cellular biology and psychology.
Hmm.
Um, and really tried to arrange my extracurriculars to get shadowing experience and volunteer work, with really the goal at the end of my undergraduate career to apply to graduate school for genetic counseling. So I was surrounded in my class with a lot of pre-med majors and people very focused on that sort of background and career path. So I did apply to graduate school, and while I was waiting to hear back, um, the CEO of Cancer IQ happened to reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Hmm. Cool.
So another weird thing that happened in my career path.
Cool.
So she encouraged me to apply for an internship opportunity at CancerIQ. I was a little bit concerned because based on my background and what I've kind of chosen to do, didn't seem to really match up very well with some of the internship opportunities that they had to offer. But the CEO of the company was great. And I asked her opinion of, based on what she saw in my LinkedIn profile to encourage me to apply, what position should I apply to? So I ended up applying and starting my internship a little bit early than the summer while I was interviewing for grad school program. So I started my internship with CancerIQ in March of 2017.
Okay.
Continued interviewing with grad schools, and I ended up not getting into a grad program for genetic counseling. And at that point, because I had been so laser focused, I wasn't really sure. I didn't know what else was out there for someone with my background. But working at CancerIQ, working closely with genetic counselors and other people in the medical field, I found a different way to apply my interests, apply my background in a setting that I actually never even thought would be, top of mind for a career choice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was the internship role?
That is a great question. It was a product strategy intern. So I was on the product side, and at that time, CancerIQ was pretty small. So, and even today, you have the opportunity to really see what each piece of the company does. So I was focused on that product strategy kind of focused role, but also had the opportunity to see what sales was doing and how different parts of the company operated. And once I didn't get into graduate school, I started full-time at CancerIQ in August of 2017 with a focus on product and customer success. So I had a set of customers I was working with also to help with implementation support and everything, and also working on the product side. And I was in that role for a while until towards the end of last year, actually, I made that transition fully over to that product side to be in the role that I am today.
Nice. And can you tell us a little bit about the transition from intern to full-time position?
Yeah, so being that CancerIQ was pretty small back then, it was a pretty easy transition for what I was doing. I think the biggest part of my transition from intern to my full-time role was, again, kind of switching more of my focus to be half and half to work with customers in that customer success role, which again, never really thought I'd be working with customers in that way when I had initially, started out with my career, just interacting with people in that way. So I was definitely able to build up that skill set pretty quickly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So thinking about your job now, what do you find most rewarding and what do you find most challenging? Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. We're frozen. Uh-oh. Are we having an internet issue? Are we back? Okay. Yes, I think my internet might have gotten a little wonky. I was saying, what do you find most rewarding and what do you find the most challenging?
Yeah, so the most rewarding is really, being able to hear what we're doing is actually making an impact. So hearing these stories about, our software pointing out patients that maybe a provider would never have thought to, do increased screening, and they're catching cancers in earlier stages is incredibly rewarding. And also just on a smaller scale, just seeing what you put into words, requirements, make pictures for, to see that come to life in the product and actually have, positive feedback of this solving a problem and making a difference in someone's workflow so we can identify these patients, in a more effective way is incredibly rewarding. Some things that I find challenging is you definitely have to, challenging and rewarding at the same time is, you're working with a lot of people, being in the product role and trying to kind of balance all the needs that come in and kind of communicate those needs in a way that each team understands it, and being able to kind of keep that continuous feedback loop to help everyone understand, where we are with the product and how that moves forward. There's a lot of moving pieces there, and just making sure everyone knows what's going on can sometimes be a little challenging.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So you're in kind of this biotech, health tech, health startup world. What advice would you have for current undergraduate students who might be looking to get into a similar field?
Yeah, I think one, great if you're thinking about it, because I didn't know anything about this when I was an undergrad. So I think, just one, having the awareness that it exists is so important, right off the bat. And I think just having, passion and the willingness to learn. A lot of the stuff that, I ended up learning was from, hands-on work,
Mm,
being at the company, and just kind of trying things, being okay with trying things and having things not always work out, but, just kind of having that drive to just kind of throw an idea out there and try to carry it through. I think, passion and the willingness to learn and drive yourself forward is, at least, in the startup world, I've learned, well, I've only been at CancerIQ, but, my experience personally, I think that's been, incredibly effective. And even if there are more difficult times, your passion for, what you do and everything kind of drives you forward through those challenges.
cool. That is very helpful to remember to be driven by your passion. Um, so you mentioned a little bit about your undergraduate experience, how you had some internships and shadowing designed to help you explore genetic counseling as a field. What were specifically kind of your most meaningful experiences from undergrad? You know, an internship, a class, a job, a student group?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I had the opportunity to shadow a couple of genetic counselors, and I think that was incredibly impactful. At least, that part of my career, and actually seeing it in action and having that access, which I know is sometimes difficult to get, and kind of seeing that the practice in action. Because I think, for genetic counseling, it's a pretty small field, and I tried to do as much research as I could to try to understand how everything works in practice. But that was really nice to, see it in action and make sure it aligned with what I wanted to do.
Sure. Can you actually, I feel like I should have asked you this earlier, but can you explain a little bit more about what a genetic counselor does?
Yeah, so genetic counselor, their goal is really to break down genetic information. I feel like as a whole, and empower you to make decisions. So there's a lot of different types of genetic counseling. I work most closely now with cancer genetic counselors, but there's a whole host of different fields where genetic counseling is useful to provide you with just information on the process,
Mm,
guide you to what your best options are, and then help break down the results of the genetic tests when they come back. What are your next steps? What do these mean? Because genetic test results have a lot of implications, and being able to really understand what those mean is pretty powerful.
and it sounds like a really good use of kind of all parts of your background with the biology and science and psychology of talking to people, understanding what you're talking about from a science perspective. So
Yeah.
like we have a lot of health sciences and psychology and kind of combination majors, so
Yes.
that's a good option.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just
Yeah.
saying absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so now that you are having this incredible experience at Cancer IQ, where do you see your career going kind of in the future?
Yeah. I love it at Cancer IQ. Everyone has been very supportive of, me learning there. And then based on what I learned at Cancer IQ, understanding where I wanted to go for a career path. So I think for me for now, I'm not looking to go back to grad school at the moment. I'm really happy where I am. I'd like to, continue learning about the product world, the product space, and how I can be a better product manager, learn more skills there, and kind of continue
Cool.
on that product pathway, I think.
That's awesome. Well, it's really exciting that you found a career path that you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
Any other advice that you would give to current students?
I think I think one thing I was missing is
Yeah.
just as an undergrad was awareness for just other potential career paths. So I think, trying to explore what's out there. I think it's also important to know what you want to do if you know that, but I think a lot of people don't, and I think it's okay. I think I was focused to a fault and didn't really understand what was out there because a lot of people in science, a lot of people I was in classes with were wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, or was doing it for a very specific reason, when I think sometimes we don't see all the other opportunities if either a career path doesn't work out, or just what you've done in school, what you've been working so hard to do, could apply to in other fields. Um,
Absolutely. We absolutely encourage students to explore, even as you said, if you know what you want to do,
yeah,
just to be sure or see what else is out there.
yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm going to stop the recording here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much to Sadie Freedman from CancerIQ for sharing her experiences and career advice.